Unlike other members, as directed by the Speaker, you're entitled to 10 minutes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. Honorable Koech seems to have an issue with the time, but I will try to be very brief to allow other members also to make that contribution. Honorable Speaker, thank you for allowing me to give my remarks on the State of the Nation address by His Excellency the President. For those who care to listen, the President's speech was reassuring amid the grim and amid a lot of anxiety in the country. The President sought to reassure the country that we are on the right track. When His Excellency President William Samoei Ruto and his government took over leadership, this country was literally in the brink of an economic collapse. This country was heading to the dogs because of fiscal indiscipline that is manifested even as we are talking. Yesterday, I'm sure many of you have seen online the pictures that are going around on WhatsApp groups and on different fora of the state of our airports and the leaking roofs of our airport. These are some of the things that were done in the dying days of the previous administration that really paints a picture of exactly how resources, like the President did put, we were living large on borrowed money. We literally did not have any discipline. The President will have had the luxury to come in and sit pretty and also continue borrowing until this country collapsed, or he decided to take that bold step of restoring fiscal discipline and avoiding an unnecessary wastage. Number one is funding of, first of all, funding of production rather than subsidizing consumption. Many have said here, and I'm sure even in our farms, for instance, even in my own farm, you can see the production today in terms of maize. And like he did say in the State of the Nation address, we've had a bumper harvest this year. We are going to have production of almost 80 million bags that is going to feed the country. When you lower food inflation in any economy, you are in the right trajectory. You're actually trying to stabilize, and that is exactly where we are as a country, lowering the cost. I'm sure even in shelves now, when we came in, there was a lot of noise about lowering the cost of flour or unga. And right now, as we are talking, the President did put that we are, prices of unga are retailing between 140, lows of 140 and highs of 175. That tells you that the cost or that the fertilizer subsidy has worked, and the cost of food is going to drop down going forward. The President also went further, and I want to just quickly refer back to the Finance Act, which he also enumerated, importation of fish from outside the country. He mentioned that in Kisumu, Homa Bay, and many other areas along the Lake Victoria, there is big construction of landing sites to enable the fisher folk to continue to harness the potential of the fish farmers and make sure that the fish within the lake region is sold in the market for good value, and farmers there can earn something from the lake. That, I think, is a brilliant move that we also, members of parliament, did participate in making sure that we are able to restore the market and deny the fish that came from outside the country the space in Kenya, or rather the market within the country. On independence of independent institutions, the President did indicate, like has been mentioned by many of my colleagues, that the first thing that he did that evening after being sworn in was to give autonomy, first of all, to appoint the judges of the Court of Appeal, and number two, to give autonomy to the police by allowing the counting officer to be the IG. That brings accountability, and it gives freedom to our independent institutions. On sugar sector, the president did mention that in the new sugar sector, he has written off billions and billions of loans that were owed to different sugar milling companies to allow all those in the sugar growing areas an opportunity again to start afresh and to bring sugar industry back on the fold and to allow as many farmers as possible to utilize the potential in the sugar sector.
Order, Honorable Koech. Just for the benefit of members, just take your seat for a minute. I know members were asking why the member or the chair for defense was given 10 minutes, and this was a resolution by the House, and it was made that the chairperson on the Committee of Justice and Legal Affairs should speak to the report submitted under Article 132(1) of the Constitution, realization of national values. The chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations is to speak on the report submitted under Article 132(1) of the Constitution relating to the progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic. And finally, the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs to speak on the report submitted under Article 247 of the Constitution relating to the state of security of the country. That is why there is an extra 5 minutes for those 3 chairs, as has been decided on the House. So even as you conclude, Honorable Koech, ensure that you also touch on the international obligations.
I was going to finish with that, but on the international front, economic diplomacy that the president has engaged in for the last 1 year has been extremely gainful. I'm sure even today many of you are aware that China is now relaxing its rules, visa requirements for traveling to China to enable ease of business. The president has done so many trips outside the country, all that are meant to benefit this country in terms of financing or different sector, energy, agriculture, and many other sectors that the president has engaged in. Most importantly is in peace. Kenya now has been, is an anchor state for peace within the region. And the president has continuously engaged, particularly on areas of security. It is also noteworthy to the House, Honorable Speaker, that we have our Kenya Defense Forces, amongst other forces within the region, in DRC, trying to restore peace in DRC under the umbrella of ICRAF, and that has been largely successful. In the area of the defense, Kenya that has been restoring some order in Somalia. As we enter into the drawdown by our military officers, it is also worth noting that Kenya has succeeded in restoring some normalcy in Somalia, and very soon our officers, as indicated, will be back in the country. And that is important because instability within the region is instability within our country. The president has continued to make sure that countries within our borders continue to be peaceful, and part of that is making sure that the deployment of our officers and security forces continue until there is peace within our borders. Within the country, in the North Rift, you remember, Honorable Speaker, that earlier this year, as a joining force with the Kenya Police Service, the Kenya Defense Forces was sent to the North Rift, and I'm sure honorable members from that region can attest to the fact that even though there has not been complete removal of the insecurity in that region, there has been relative calm in the north of our country. Honorable Speaker, with those very few remarks, I beg to support.
Thank you. Chair, Labour Committee, Member for Runyenjes, Honorable Eric Mushangi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I was sitting here last